when people ask me, like, well, what is steampunk? And my dad said, put it in a tweet, I dare you. And I was like, all right. Steampunk is a style of books, of movies, video games, what have you, that draws its inspiration from the science fiction of the 19th century. But there are a million ways to pick that apart and disagree, and I wouldn't fight anybody about any of them. But I do think it starts with the style, because that's the first thing people see and the first thing people recognize. And so I've talked to
to jump off about the appeal of the steampunk aesthetic as old goths, right? When I started doing steampunk, which was like 7 years ago, with the airship art out of Columbus, it was interesting to me because I had always gone out as a goth when I was wearing my costume, and people react very negatively when you go out as a goth. So when you go out in black lipstick and piercings and your hair is purple, and people are afraid of you and they whisper and they and so the reaction's very negative. And so we would have these very public events where we would dress in full steampunk, and there'd be like 15 of us, right, just marching down the street, and the reaction is the total opposite. People would stop us to ask about our outfits. Are we in a play? We look amazing. People were so friendly. It's just a completely different reaction. And so I think some of the switch that a lot of goths have made to steampunk. I still remember my mom being all relieved that I wasn't doing that goth thing anymore, which clearly I still do, right? But that I had discovered something else that was less scary to her was really exciting to her, and I think some of the appeal is that being able to dress up and not scare people for the first time in your life and get up that positive reaction.
That reaction just made me dig my heels in even further. So, but I've always been blonde, and I'm a perky goth, so it's like it's doubly confusing for them because they're like, oh my God, you're so bouncy, and you're in all that miserable clothes. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes steampunk really exciting is that you have dichotomies. There's an inherent conflict in okay, so you're going to look one way, but the world is going to be sometimes very different.
And it's much more accepting of and I'm not saying like, oh, steampunks are like utopian or whatever, but it's broadly more accepting. And I keep telling this story about the first Steamcon I was at it. And so they closed the hotel. The fire marshal said no more passes can be given out. That you're full, we can have more people here. So there were no new things being given. So I was downstairs outside of the vendor hall, and this little old lady comes in. This little old lady's in her early 80s. I forget exactly how old she was. And she was like, what is going on here? And she was just fascinated by this. And so I was like, well, this is steampunk, and this is what we do, and this is so much fun. And she's like, this is just a blast. I'm going to go get Mother. And we all just like froze. No, Mother was 103. And these two little old ladies were on their way to something else, and they had their hotel reservations before they knew there was an event, and nobody knew. So they gave them badges because they weren't letting anyone into the hotel or anything, and ran them through the dealer's room and dressed them up and just turned them loose. And it was just the cutest thing I had ever seen in my life. This is great, because I don't know how many other subculture type events that would have gone down that way for. Not because they wouldn't, the attendees would not have been welcoming and friendly, but like, say Grandma comes down in the middle of a Star Trek convention. I don't think necessarily there's a lot of interest for her probably as this random old lady. But she sees Victorian clothes, and she sees fancy hats, and she sees fluffy purses and big skirts. This is all interesting and fun. And it just warmed the burly cockles of my heart.
Well, because it's like we're valuing things that was their youth in that case. Some of the styles.
Her mother's,
yeah.
This was, I guess, 2009.
Costuming, historically, has always been a big deal among women's service organizations.
Oh yeah.
In this country, my mother was a fine seamstress who specialized in Edwardian costumes for our town we lived in, our pioneer days. And she and her posse did into these fancy Edwardian outfits, sort of Lillian Russell sort of thing. And that was costuming, but it was period costuming, not associated with a literary genre or anything. It was mainly associated with your small towns historic events, having Western days or 19th century days or whatever in your little town.
But it's highly skilled women's work that isn't often valued, and it's
Sure.
their opportunity to show it off.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, if you're a
Yeah.
fine seamstress, yeah.
Not everybody
that's your
appreciates
chance
what
to
you're doing,
rock.
and, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of them in the South get into Civil War reenacting for the same
Oh,
reason
sure.
they want to wear clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will say my next book, The Buffalo Soldier, was the first book my mother actually paid attention to. Good. And
It's a great cover. He has the same artist as my Steampunk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
well, and so I mentioned in an interview that I wrote this as a love letter to my mom. I'm just like, well, what would my mom want in the story? Well, obviously giant robots, obviously a bunch of assassins, obviously a lot of cane fighting, and so I'm running this by my mom, and she's like, yes, but the main hero is Jamaican, right? And I'm like, yes, Mom, he's
Yes.
Jamaican. And he's running around with the clone of Haile Selassie. She's like,
Yeah.
okay, yes,
Go
I like
on.
this one. Yes. Like, oh, my mom, but she bought several copies at full price, 'cause I don't discount.
But anyway, the reversion of the literary form of steampunk back into sort of a deconstruction of the British Empire, in some ways that is not a new thing, but a reversion to what a lot of actual Victorian writers were doing. If you go back to Victorian writers like Elizabeth Gaskell, women like that, Mrs. Humphrey Ward, all these kinds of people, they were scathing about the British Empire and the conditions of the British laboring class and all sorts of things. We tend to see a lot of this through the lens of PBS costume dramas. You know, a lot of the romanticization and the glossy aspect of it is because PBS can keep a lot of its stations running by airing period costume dramas that people enjoy watching, mainly or because of the lovely clothes, or sometimes if it's the Hercule Poirot stuff, then it's because of the Art Deco department and the neat cars. It's a neat cars.
I will say their adaptation, BBC's adaptation of North and South, Gaskell's North and South,
I
is
did not see it.
really good, and
Yeah.
they do, and
Yeah.
they don't hold back on
Yeah.
the death in the factories and the
Yeah.
union
Yeah,
struggle.
well, this
That's
is it.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so in a lot of ways, the original social muckrakers in literature were the Victorian
Yeah.
muckrakers.
Oh, yeah.
They were
Well, how do you
deep
see them
into
moving
that.
forward? I mean, you've got your Downton Abbey, of course, you know, this is also the downstairs, but, you know, that kind of thing. It's all stylized. Where they come back, they picked up Mrs. Fisher's Mysteries,
Oh, Miss Fisher.
Yeah.
which
Miss
she
Fisher.
really goes
Miss.
after those on that level, even though she's,
Okay.
you know, displaced to Australia.
Yes.
You still see it, and
Yeah.
especially in a land that was established, of course, for criminals.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're getting some things in.
Yeah.
They didn't pick, you know, obviously you don't see River Street on there, but
Yeah.
you know, talking
That's how I saw it.
Yeah,
on PBS.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember here. I mean,
yeah,
BBC America and Netflix, yes.
yeah.
But you know,
Atlanta's
they're
media
starting to
stations.
go into that and actually, and then putting it on later where they can, you know, actually show it,
Yeah.
which is good because people were able to see that there were different sides of it and maybe something they would want to, you know, expand, which of course that was probably
I
correct.
find it
Yeah.
taboo too, as a really, really miserable depiction of 19th century life. And it's not even pretending that there was a lot of, and he's rich, and it still looks like a just really place to be. And there's one scene where he's inherited his father's house, his father's dead, and it's a super rich place, and super rich people. And he puts his stepmother up in this one room, and he comes in to see her, and there's like water pouring down in a corner of the room. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna fix that. You know, it gives her a bucket. This guy's a zillionaire in his culture, and still everything is this kind of filthy. And it just, there's different kinds of filthy on that show as well. But, you know, you tune in for Tom Hardy, and you take what you get. And there are some nice clothes, but it is worse than Ripper Street. Not worse, more precise and unclinical even than Ripper Street. It is a very, very, like you watch it and kind of want to go take a shower.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not messing around.
we only have about 10 minutes left, unfortunately.
Yeah, second question.
I would like for everyone, I know, thank you for making my job very easy. This is the best panel ever. So I think it would be really great if we all made a recommendation of a steampunk book that, or a book that's on the steampunk continuum that we really enjoy, especially if it's one that maybe you haven't heard of, or so give that a little bit of thought, and if there's something that you wanted to recommend to the audience, or you can give your own work that's coming out.
I honestly was going to say Buffalo Soldier, not just because Maurice is to my right, but I think it's awesome. So just
very good.
So that would be my recommendation right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Well, also Brimstone's amazing too. So Cheri's like is amazing.
That's Deco back there.
Well, I know. So it's adjacent. Don't be like that lady. Don't make a little girl cry.
Well, I was thinking.
For me, I'm always going to recommend the Steampunk series edited by Anna Mayer, and especially the third one, because I had actually stopped after the first two, and I was talking to Jeff about some of my problems with Steampunk. He's like, "Did you ever read the third one?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why don't you give that one a shot?" So I read the third one, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, now Steampunk is, for me in a lot of ways now broadened." I'm just like, "Oh, man, I didn't know people could do all these other things with Steampunk." So for me, Steampunk 3 would be my recommendations.
Okay, just because Morgan's Talk just has this massive compendium called the Encyclopedia Fantastic Victoriana. And he is the guy who Alan Moore thanks in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen stuff. The man is a freaking compendium of it. And he's a wonderful resource for writers like me, and a lot of comic writers like him, because it's like, hey Jess, I need a public domain character that kind of fits these things, and he thinks about it for a minute and goes, well, here's a character who hasn't been used since 1972, and he's that guy. So he's wonderful if you can get your hands on that. He also does encyclopedias of other kinds of genre fiction, like global. Like he starts in India and China and Africa and works his way around to Europe and sorts of it. But from a fiction standpoint, the thing that's immediately popping to mind is China Mieville, Perdido Street Station, which is almost a science fiction steampunk. It's a second world steampunk. It's not set in the here and now or in any real place. It's very, very strange, and I think it starts a little slow, but it grows on you, and it's a China Mieville, right? Yes, exactly. But that, and even a little bit Kraken, which is a little modern, but kind of borrows an awful lot, like the octopus and the tentacly stuff, and the strange religions and the strange technologies, but they're here now. And I would recommend that as well. And I'll stop there.
Okay. I hope I'm not screwing up. I can't remember the name of the editors, and I may be getting the name of their collection or their anthology wrong. A couple of years ago, I was very impressed by a collection called, I believe it was called Shanghai Steam. You know that one?
Yeah.
Okay. It really at the time kind of solidified my notion of this new thing happening of the sort of not just post-colonial but anti-colonial steampunk. So it was this collection of short stories, like I said, from a small press, and I wish I could remember the editor's name. So it was called Shanghai Steam, and I was very impressed by that. Like I said, it really kind of opened another couple of doors about what was happening with the splintering and kittens crawling out of the box nature of steampunk.
So I'll take a moment to totally shill for the books I edit.
Yes.
What book do you edit?
Steeplejack.
Yes.
Okay.
Steeplejack. Steeplejack series by A.J. Hartley. Their YA 19th century, adventure mystery series. Feature, taking place in a fantasy South African inspired world.
And I love that one. I put my name on it too. So I loved it enough to put my name on it and be like, I love this. Yeah.
In the vendor room right now, a debut by author is Robin Venice, military fantasy called The Guns Above. First female airship captain, kicks ass, takes names, and deals with one ridiculous problem. Online that you can read for free, A Dead Gin in Cairo by Peter Shelley Clark. Who's a fantastic up-and-coming voice set in an alchemy-infused Cairo, and something that I didn't edit that I will show for. I highly recommend Monstrous by Marjorie Liu, illustrated by Senator Takada. It's really, really fantastic. It's beautifully done. though it's about, you know, a one woman with magical powers who had a violent past and believes because of it she's a monster, and trying to deal with the aftermath in this war-torn society. And I will also recommend The Sea is Ours, which is a short story collection of Southeast Asian steampunk edited by Jamie Go and Joyce Chang.
Yes, very good.
I'm sorry. Everfair by D.C. Shaw.
So good, so good.
Okay, yeah.
If it's edited by Jamie Go, then I'm going to look it up because she's a pretty smart cookie.
The book I always recommend that no one has ever heard of is called The Glass Books of the Dream Eaters. Which is by Gordon Dahlquist.
Yeah.
And if you like lush, sort of Victorian style writing, they are absolutely.
They get weird.
They are super weird. Like I enjoy weird fiction, so they are really weird. But they're really, and they don't shy away from showing how horrible Victorian society was. And the heroine is very plucky. Her fiance goes missing, and she goes to find him and figure out, like, he dumps her, and she is like, what is going on? And so she, like, basically follows him to figure out what's going on with him, and discovers that he's a member of this cult. And the cult is doing terrible things, of course. And I've always mentioned it because I enjoyed it so much, and I don't think that the books did very well because the third book was only released in the UK. So please go check it out, and if you like it, buy the books off Amazon, because I'm sure that Gordon Dahlquist.
I'll say this: Subterranean picked up the rights and actually released special editions of them.
Oh,
so
good!
You should at least be able to get it. When I worked for Subterranean,
right.
I would sometimes get a hold of the digital files. It was my job to clean up little artifacts and stuff, and
Right.
that's why I read them.
Yeah.
So I believe that he picked up all three, and there should be Subterranean press editions. And if not, you probably put out ebooks at least.
Yeah.
So we know it that way.
The Glass Books of the Dream Eaters by Gordon Dahlquist. What's glass?
Could we do this where everybody in the panel says it at the same time? Is that what you need?
The
Glass Books of the Dream Eaters
by Gordon Dahlquist.
It has a very long, silly title, and it's a
Hey,
kind
nothing
of,
wrong with long, silly titles.
and it kind of, but it really works for the book because it's a very long, kind of silly book. So I love those novels, and hopefully.
But you know
some
that
people
people
check
going
them
in
out.
asking for the dream books and the glassy books.
Does anybody want to have any closing thoughts? Tell us what you're working on right now. We will be reading, hopefully everyone here will be reading a little something in here at 9 o'clock. We'll be, right?
That's fine.
We'll be reading.
Most of us,
Many of us.
those of us who don't already have their own reading hour, right? So those who have their own reading hour are exempted. The rest of us who don't have a reading hour will be here.
I just said I'm not going to be up at 9 o'clock. So not
Yeah.
like I was so special.
What are you working on at Tor, Diana?
Yes.
What's
Actually,
next to come off the production?
I am working on several things. I'm trying to think of the steampunk related ones.
The next
right-
Robin Venice, right?
What?
The next Robin book, right?
Yes, I'm working on the next Robin Venice book. I'm working on the next Steeplejack book as well. I have a new project from Peter Jelly Clark that I hope to do something with very soon. Yeah, so those are all on the bill.
Great.
Okay. I've got more proposals sitting at Angry Robot, and hopefully once we get the third and last book of the Tower trilogy out, Grim Expectations, then we'll start to work on what is kind of a tangential spin-off from the first books, which then may become its own trilogy, and that's another whole complicated thing, recycling characters from the first three books, but that's sort of vague and
Well, Grim Expectations would have a pre-order button, right? So you can pre-order it.
not on me.
Well, no, but on the interwebs, they
Yes,
should be
they're very likely.
So pre-order Grim Expectations.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Pre-orders are good and important. My most recent book is Brimstone. It just came out. I was joking that it's Decopunk. It's loosely, very, very loosely and distantly tied into Maplecroft and Chapelwood, which were the Lizzie Borden books. And much more horror, really, than fantasy or steampunk. But on the scale, I'd say they're about a 2 or 3. They are influenced by these things. The rest of my stuff is mostly modern, and it looks like one of the next things I may be doing is going to be for young adults and probably about my dog Lucy, who makes her own fire. But
for me right now.
On the steampunk front, I just finished a novelization of In My Airship. So, because the big criticism of In My Airship, they're like, there seems like there's this whole world in there that you haven't explored. All right, so now I've explored it. So I have a novel
Everybody's
that
showing
ready.
up
So
now.
everybody, yeah. So that's ready for me to shop. And then the other thing, I don't know if I can officially announce it yet, but there may be a middle grade detective novel series coming from us.
Very nice.
On June 20th, it will be launch day for Perilous Prophecy, which is the prequel in my Strangely Beautiful saga, set in 1867 Cairo and London. And I will be doing, for you local folk, I will be doing a launch party at the Barnes & Noble of Westchester, Ohio. They do all my launch parties, and so that's on June 20th, which is a Tuesday night. And then that's the prequel in my Strangely Beautiful world, which is basically Victorian Ghostbusters with a lot of Greek mythology. And then the third and final book in my Eterna Files series should be out in, I hope, this November, provided production doesn't get pushed. I turned my book in on time, I'm just saying. But we're just gonna, we're gonna see how all that goes. Hopefully, Eterna Solution will be out in November. So, yeah.
I am finishing up the editing for Steampunk Universe. It is almost done. So if you like Steampunk World, it's kind of similar, but the stories focus on characters with disabilities. So I'm really excited to show a little bit more diversity there. There are some absolutely amazing stories in it that, as I'm rereading them to edit them, it makes me excited to, give them to the world. And then I'm also writing a young adult horror novel that I should have done in June. So then hopefully I can find someone who actually wants to publish it.
Yay.
Begins the long process of trying to find someone who will publish it. So I want to thank all the panelists. This was a really fantastic discussion, and I wish we had a whole other hour to sit here and talk about it, because it's been a great time.
Yes.
We are going to go over to room 3.
Well, actually, I think if that room is still open, then I just don't know when they close that room. If they close that room, then I'm not sure. But room 3, Cover News Run 3 will have books. I'm not sure if they're not open. Maurice and I have my books just right around the corner. Cheri and I are here to talk about Gothic novels, like right now. But yes,
Did they
so
change that from Hunt?
you
guys are in Hunt.
Oh, we're in Hunt.
Upstairs.
Well, we need to rent a Hunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diana's here.
LGBTQ.
God, okay, all right. I'm sorry. I did not have that changed. Good, honey. Thank you.
I'm out of